Hi, it's Lynne and welcome to the Make Meaning podcast. I'm a writer and entrepreneur, and through decades of writing articles for magazines and newspapers and authoring books, I've learned that we succeed through inspiration from storytelling and deep and mutually beneficial relationships. This show began in 2018 after my father was diagnosed with a terminal illness, and I wanted a way to capture his stories and record his insights. It's grown since then to share stories of how people around the world make meaning from very ordinary pursuits. Now I focus on sharing the stories of writers, authors, and those in the world of publishing to learn how and why we create stories that help us make meaning from the mundane. I'm a former journalist and marketing entrepreneur, and I've been teaching writing for more than 2 decades. As a writing coach, I help authors build their brands and share their words. I've had 8 books published already, and I just finished my second novel, so stay tuned for news about when and where you can read it. If you'd like to write with me, check out my offerings at lynnegaladner.com, and you'll find more episodes of this podcast at makemeaning.org, as well as on every podcast platform you can think of. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star review at Apple Podcasts. Thank you for tuning in to the Make Meaning podcast, where you'll find stories of courageous people daring to share their talent with the world. Now, on to the show. Hey everyone, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2023. If you've always wondered what it would be like to attend a writer's retreat, this is the year to do it. And lucky for you, I'm adding 4 retreats to my calendar this year. I'd love to write with you at one of them. So there are 2 weekend retreats here in Michigan. There's one in Nova Scotia in July, and then I'll be back on Mackinac Island in September with writingworkshops.com. If you'd like to find out more, go to lynnegaladner.com and click on the retreats page. And if one of them interests you, register now because they'll fill up really quickly. I hope to write with you this year. Thanks for listening. I've known Camille Pagan for decades after we met through ASJA, the American Society of Journalists and Authors. Back then, we were both journalists succeeding wildly as freelancers and both based in Southeast Michigan. Camille went on to become the best-selling author of 8 novels and an author coach who helps writers build successful, lucrative careers. Her novels have soared to the top of the Amazon and Washington Post charts, and she has written articles for the New York Times, the Oprah magazine, Real Simple, Time, and other publications. She wrote her first novel at age 30 and says she writes to make meaning out of life. I have been inspired by Camille for a long time, and I am thrilled to welcome her as today's guest on the Make Meaning podcast. It is such an honor to speak to you here on the podcast, Camille, because I get to pull back the curtain and learn how you've become this successful, inspiring author and author coach who loves her life. So first of all, kudos to you and bravo. I watch you with envy.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're really an inspiration. And so I want to begin by talking about how you built your fiction career. So you were a journalist for a decade before you wrote your first novel. What inspired that pivot?
I had always wanted to write novels from the time I realized someone was writing the books that I was reading, right? And I just didn't know anyone who made a living as a writer, period, right? So I went to college on a full ride scholarship. My parents, on both sides, we'd never had anyone go to college before. And they meant well, but they were like, go do something useful. And my brain said, fiction is not useful. So I went in thinking I would pursue medicine because my sister had a lot of autoimmune issues. And I was in and out of the doctor with her and just kind of had a natural interest in health. And I was working as a researcher for a cardiologist. And she was like, I really think you do better writing about medicine than practicing it. And it was great advice. So I went to work in health magazines. I worked for Fitness. I worked for Lifetime as their health and psychology editor, then went on to become an independent journalist. And all the while in the back of my brain, I was like, one of these days I'm going to write a novel. Right before I turned 30, I had just given birth to my daughter. And I guess while I was pregnant with her, the seed of an idea started forming in my mind. And one of my really dear friends was dying of cancer. She had stage 4. It was really obvious that it was not a great scenario. And it really, I call it a life or death moment because I had life and death kind of going on. And it was just a reminder that, you know, this journey that we take is not long, regardless of how long you live. And I was like, I better go do that. And so my daughter was a newborn and I just sat down every night and started writing
Mm.
really only in about an hour. Sometimes I had two,
Mhm.
sometimes I snuck in a little here and there.
Mhm.
And 4 months later, I had a book on my hands.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, and I sold that at auction, which sounds like the dream story.
Uh-huh.
So 6-figure auction. I was like, oh, my career is going to be amazing. And then after that book came out, there were 2 more years, so 3 years from sale
Okay.
until I sold another novel.
Oh,
It took a while. Yeah. A lot of people
interesting.
do that up front. Mine was in the middle.
Okay, interesting. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I love how you say that, we really don't have long. I mean, we think we do, but why not jump in and try, and really
Mm-hmm.
give it your all? So, I know that you advise writers to write
Mm-hmm.
the story you'd love to read. And so I wonder if you
Mm-hmm.
could
Yeah.
talk a little bit about where most great book ideas come from.
I wish I knew,
Hmm.
but I can only speak for myself. For me, I'll have the seed and it'll just be the vaguest of ideas.
Hmm.
And then the character will appear in my head.
Hmm.
And from there, I think about it in a more purposeful way.
Hmm.
Initially, it would just kind of come to me and then I would write it down and then I would edit it. Now
Hmm.
I really think about the intersection of the protagonist and the plot. All of fiction, all of story is really conflict and resolution. Something happens that sets off the entire story. Protagonist goes on a journey, realizes something that changes them and or their world for the better and comes to a resolution. It's in a way a really tidy little package.
Hmm.
And in order to give any book, regardless of genre, that page turning feel, whatever happens has to be at odds with who the protagonist is. Thinking about, let's just say, a people pleaser who then has to go help her family because her mother has dementia. That was one of my recent stories. So
Hmm.
making sure that these things are at odds. So now I think about it a little more systematically, in part because I'm lazy and I don't like editing. It's just like my least favorite part. Everyone has something. I've come
Uh-huh.
to appreciate it, but I love drafting. That's like the land of possibility for me.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'd rather spend a little bit more time there
Hmm.
being deliberate about what's happening and then less time on edits. Yeah.
Interesting. Do you think
Hmm.
that fiction writers borrow from real moments in their lives or maybe
Hmm.
imagined moments that they wish were part of their lives or something totally different?
I've heard it all. So I've worked
Yeah.
with hundreds of fiction writers at this point, and some really, it's just a romantic play. They
Hmm.
are just ripping from the headlines of their own lives.
Hmm.
And it's really funny because people worry about that, especially writers who are doing that, but even those who aren't.
Hmm.
And I always say, like, anyone you write about probably won't recognize themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a truism. They just don't. They're like, and then the person you haven't thought of in 20 years and you can't remember their name, they're like, I was in your book. And
Yep.
you're like, okay, so and so. It's like so awkward.
You know what? I say that a
um,
lot to my students who are writing essays.
yeah.
And I just say that there's
Oh,
always going to be
yeah.
someone who thinks they're in your story and they have
Yep.
issues with it. And then there's the person who is in your story who never even reads it or pays attention that
No,
closely.
it's so funny. I don't think I write that much about my life. And
Hmm.
even in the beginning, I tried to write away from it, even as I put in context that I knew.
Hmm.
So often professions that I have some association with or understanding of, either myself or my family,
Hmm.
things like that, where I do have some understanding. Some people love to research, but
Hmm.
as a health journalist, that's what I was already spending my time doing.
Yeah.
I wanted to drop into a story as a relief. I didn't want to spend all my time researching. But I do think every story is part of you, even if you're not wishing you were the protagonist.
Hmm.
My protagonists go through hell. I would never want to be them. I always put them in things where like their life is falling apart because it's interesting, but I don't want
Hmm.
that for myself. I'd rather
Right,
put
for
it in
sure.
fiction.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. So when did you become a coach and talk a little bit about
Hmm.
what that means? I know that the way you coach,
Mm,
I think is really unique in the industry. So there are lots of quote unquote book coaches out there, but I
yeah.
think you're the only author coach I really know. So tell me about how you
Oh,
became a coach and then like your specialty.
yeah. So it is, I have to tell a lot of people, they're like, I'm looking for a book coach. I'm like, I'm not a book coach. I will help you with the fundamentals of story
Hmm.
as I understand them in my own system, but I'm not looking through your manuscript.
Hmm.
We're not perfecting your ideas outside of the query letter because that is one of my specialties. That's just like
Hmm.
a little thing that I like to do.
Hmm.
But I really do mindset. The research back cognitive behavioral tools, I use all of those. It's
Hmm.
not therapy. I
Hmm.
call it really like therapy's future focused, goal oriented cousin. We're
Okay.
not going deep into your past, not like
Okay.
going into your psyche. It's really just being deliberate about how you're thinking because
Okay.
we know study after study shows that that really works. People who choose their thoughts on purpose to the best of their ability have better results.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm doing. And with any given client, whether it's in a group container or one-on-one,
Mm-hmm.
I am talking about, what are your goals here? What do you want to accomplish?
Mm-hmm.
How can we create patterns in the short term that help you get there, and really lean into the belief in the long term that you can do that?
Okay.
So I love it. I think it is the most rewarding work. And the funny thing is, this is why I don't think too far out with my clients either. I really think like 3 to 5 years. Because if you had asked me 5 years ago if I would be a coach, I'd be like, what? What's a coach? So I had some understanding, but I think I really didn't understand the profession. And I had suffered a professional setback where I had this story that I was so excited about.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote the whole thing, brought it to my publisher, and they're like, this is amazing, and we're not going to publish it
Oh,
because it's
why?
off brand for you.
Oh.
Yeah, it all worked out in the end. And this is like the lovely perspective, just like the books that didn't sell after I sold my first one.
Right.
But they were like, it's not your brand and you can sell it elsewhere. But if you want to stay with us, we really want you to stay on brand for yourself. Which is funny because I tell people, like, you are the brand. So whatever you do, you're on brand.
Yeah.
But in their eyes, I created this kind of witty, life affirming women's fiction with a touch of romance. And they're like, this is not that. So it was just a huge setback. And I had read a book by a coach and joined her like group coaching program that was really around money and not mindset, but it was all mindset. PS, like it was a gateway drug.
Okay.
Then I joined a group program, then hired a one-on-one coach and was just immediately hooked because coaching was like using my intuition plus my journalism skills, plus all the research I loved. I was like, oh, this is the cocktail of all things that are made for me. Nice. And I just fell in love with it. And during the very beginning of the pandemic, I had an opportunity to get certified. So I was already working as a mentor, and then I started coaching like unofficially. And I was like, no, I'm officially doing this. And then went through certification, loved that, set up a business that's just been, like, to my surprise, as rewarding as writing.
Wow.
And now I am getting master certified as a coach. So I will be done in December.
Amazing. Wow. That's
Love
so
it. Thank
exciting.
you.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about how you work with your coaching clients and, and then I have another follow-up question to that. So I'll ask that in a minute. But how do you work with your coaching clients?
So it's kind of evolving over time, as all businesses do. Initially, I would work with people even for like 6 weeks. That was really fun. But the research shows that 12 weeks is an ideal length of time to create a true habit where it's not just like something that, oh, you've begun to do it. No, it's like part of who you are. And that is a lot of what I do as a coach, is making sure that you have a daily writing practice, that the rest of your life is supporting you. So I extended my packages to 12 weeks where I work one-on-one with someone, and then began offering 12-week group packages. So I have a career author mastermind that runs twice a year, and that's a 12-week program. And most recently, I started working with people for 6 months at a time, just kind of on a whim. I was like, what would it be like to work with people for half a year and really see their progress? And that's been fun too. So I'm always saying, like, I don't know, because I don't even know what 2023 will look like. I act a lot on inspiration in terms of what I'm offering at any given time.
Okay. So if writers are listening to this and they're thinking, maybe working with a coach could be a really great thing, how should they approach it? How do they know if they need an author coach or a book coach, or like how to go about finding someone too?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. So I would think first, like, what is your goal? And it's funny because a lot of times we don't actually think that. I mean, even me, I'm like in this work every day. And sometimes I'm like, what am I trying to do here? So getting really specific about what you want out of the experience. If your goal, let's say, is to clean up your manuscript or to write a book from start to finish, and you've never done it before, a book coach might be for you. Some book coaches only start from the beginning process. Others will work with you on a revise. Some will say, go work with a developmental editor. So it really depends. But if you are just thinking about the book itself, then I would look for a book coach. If you have bigger goals in terms of career strategy, that's where I would work with a coach. It doesn't have to be someone who identifies as an author coach. There are lots of really great career coaches, life coaches, goal coaches, author coaches too, who can do that kind of work. And I would say that's especially important if you know you're getting in your own way.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, one of the things that brought me to coaching was this belief that I wrote the wrong kind of books to
Mm.
succeed. I
Okay.
just had this story in my head that people wanted something other than what I was writing.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, I cleaned that one up in like 4 weeks.
Really?
It was so fast. Yeah. My coach was like, okay, why are you telling yourself that?
Uh-huh.
Is that something you actually want to believe? I was like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Go find other people who are doing what you're doing, really feeding your brain evidence, anyone who's listening.
Mm-hmm.
Like before you even mess with your own thoughts, sometimes it's helpful to just go see that other people are doing it
Sure.
and to really see that if others are doing it, you can too. So it was a very quick process for me. And I'm not saying everything is quick. There are other things I've wrestled with for a long period of time,
Mm-hmm.
but I just knew that that's what I needed work on. I knew how to write a book.
Mm-hmm.
And I have learned to write faster, more efficiently, to enjoy the process more, all of that through coaching.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, that thing is getting in my way. And so that's what I
Interesting.
went in for.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And I work with a life coach. So
Uh-huh.
I did not hire a career coach because I will tell you, I couldn't find anyone like me when I was looking.
Mm.
And
Okay.
I only know of a couple other people doing this work too at that
So a
level.
career coach who may not just specialize in authors, but someone who's
Yeah.
helping you with your career. Got
Yeah.
it.
I like it when someone knows the business, but they don't have to help you.
Okay. And a life coach, how is that different from a career coach then?
Well, I would say most of the career coaches I know are certified as life coaches. And
Okay.
I know that for a lot of people, that conjures up this image of like a 22-year-old in Bali working out of a hut with a wonky internet connection. But it's not that anymore. Life coaching is a really well established, research backed practice. I would personally recommend working with someone who has training of some sort. That
Okay.
doesn't have to be a certificate, but
Sure.
someone who has a proven track record, some sort of process, a method, that kind of thing. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so life coaching is really someone who, at a base level, understands how thoughts influence feelings, which influence actions, which then create your results.
Okay.
And there's more to it than that. Actions can also influence feelings and thoughts,
Sure.
but just really that connection of getting clear on what you're thinking, what it's creating for you.
Awesome. So I know you're
Yeah.
the queen of query letters. You had mentioned that earlier, and I know that that's one of your superpowers. So, helping clients create a compelling pitch that can they then land an agent. I'd
Yeah.
love to hear about the process of how you found your agent. I know you've worked with your
Hmm.
agent for a long time, so maybe just take me through that
Yeah.
process, and then a little bit about, what is that query letter, and how do you
Yeah.
hit on the sweet spot that's going to work?
Oh my gosh. I'm not going to give the whole secret sauce, but
Nope.
honestly, it's all over the internet. So I'm being
Okay.
disingenuous here. But
Yeah.
my agent and I worked together for 12 years. I did have a connection to her, but also had an offer from someone who had never heard of me.
Hmm.
And I will tell you, it was just the query letter. So I had 2 offers on 7 queries total
Mm,
in a week.
that's
And I
amazing.
really believe, thank you, it is. And I just basically read the jacket copy. So everyone listening, you can hire someone, but also read the jacket copy of the books that are most like yours. That's
Okay.
what a query is.
Huh.
So it is just selling your book. It is
Okay.
telling the story in a short little capsule. I really love to add a little line at the top that reads like marketing copy.
Hmm.
So like forgive and forget, but not necessarily in that order, right? That
Hmm.
was how I sold my first book. I
Okay.
used that at the very top of my query. And agents were like, oh, I love this. And all you're showing them is A, there's a place for your book in the marketplace.
Hmm.
So you know where it belongs, you know how to sell it. And B, that you are going to participate in the marketing of it. That's
Okay.
really the subtext of a good query letter of
Okay.
like, I actually know how to talk about this story. I know how to tell people about it.
Yep.
And when I work with the publisher, I'm going to like give them help because a lot of the marketing teams are not going to be able to write your story as well as you can
For
if you
sure.
know how to do it.
So how did you find your agent? And I know
Mhm.
that you have said, be ready to send queries to a lot of agents before you land one.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you didn't have to. So what do you think was the secret to making it so easy?
Well, the process was so different 12 years ago that it's such a different thing because now there's Query Tracker and I was on Publishers Marketplace. So that was where I started. I
Hmm.
just looked in the back of the books that I loved. I can't remember who Julie Buxbaum's agent was at the time. I remember I picked her. Jenny Bent represented some people that I like, some authors I really loved.
Hmm.
My agent represented Allison Wynne Scotch, whose book I
Hmm.
was like, oh, that's one of my comps.
Hmm.
So I was just really looking at the marketplace
Hmm.
through books and through Publishers Marketplace, which
Hmm.
you can still do now. There are
Okay.
just other tools available that weren't there at the time that I would argue make it easier.
Okay.
But a lot of it is just like time and effort.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to the agent website like then and now to see what they want and listen to what they want.
Mm-hmm.
It's hilarious. But one of the main reasons why people get rejected is because they don't follow the directions. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, they're like, only use this form. They're like, I don't want to use the form. It's ugly and clunky. It doesn't matter. If they say use the form,
Use the form.
understand that everything is a hoop. Yes. Like
Yes.
they're asking you to jump through it for a reason. Like, are you going to listen? And
Right.
it
Right.
is what it is. Yeah.
Interesting. Cool.
Hmm.
So you mentioned that you had a book that you sold and then it took a while to sell the next one. So I'm curious if
Yeah.
you have any books that you started that maybe didn't take off, like maybe you abandoned them, or even a
Hmm.
finished product that you didn't end up selling. Like, did that ever happen to you?
I have 4 books that I haven't sold.
Okay.
So the one that brought me to coaching, that was kind of like my disappointment, which I'm really glad. Well, I'll tell you this for all of them. I'm really glad none of them sold.
Really?
Yeah, they're the 3 that I wrote in between my debut coming out and my second book.
Mm-hmm.
Night and day experience. First book sells at auction, 6 figures. I'm like, oh, I'm on my way. I sold to tons of foreign publishers right away.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just thinking, well, I'm going to write a book a year and this is going to be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And the book did not sell well. It sold really well in Turkey and like a couple other countries, which was hilarious. I was like,
Okay.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Turkey.
Yeah.
But in the US, my publisher gave it a very dark, somber cover.
Oh,
And I knew in my gut the minute that that happened, I was like, this isn't right. They're like, we love it. And I have a lot more agency now. And part of why I do what I do, like I put out a free newsletter. I talk a lot at conferences to let other writers know you
mm-hmm.
don't have to be established to have agency. Like
Sure.
it is your name on the cover and it is
Mm-hmm.
worth fighting for. If
Yeah.
you know in your gut it's a problem. And I didn't listen. I was 30 years old. I was like,
Yeah.
yay, it's going
Yeah.
to be fine. They
Yeah.
know what they're doing. They did not. The
Okay.
book did not sell well. And the predominant complaint was basically I was expecting something more serious. And anyone who
Oh,
knows my work knows that I tackle big topics, but I do it in a very light, accessible way. It's just
okay.
who I am.
Yeah.
Like, I think everything is kind of funny and kind of sad. So, like,
Okay.
what you
Okay.
get when you read one of my books? I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
this human experience, like, we're so lucky to be here. And also, what the heck is going on? Like, so they just marketed it really strangely. And when it came time to sell another book, they had first rights, as most
Okay.
publishers do,
Sure.
to turn down a book.
Okay.
So my editor was like, well, what about that historical fiction you were going to write? So
Mm.
I finished it, sent it in. They were like, yes, it doesn't work
Oh,
because I'm horrible at historical fiction.
okay.
It was like the worst writing experience of my life. It was like being
Oh,
asked to write a math paper.
oh
And
gosh.
I thought like, I was really thinking about the market and not what I wanted to write.
Okay.
So then I wrote a romance just to see how that would go. And
Mm-hmm.
it didn't go well. It just was
Mm-hmm.
like not the right book.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wrote a 4-person perspective contemporary novel
Mm-hmm.
that I actually really liked. But at that point, Penguin, which was my then publisher, they're
Mm-hmm.
finally like, we're never going to buy one of your books anytime
Oh my
soon
gosh. Oh my gosh.
because the numbers
Wow.
were so bad. Because that, yeah,
I mean, that must have been
enough
like a
time had
real,
passed.
like a dagger in your heart. Like, oh,
Oh, it
yeah.
was. I was like,
Yeah.
what am I going to do? So I
Yeah.
threw myself back into journalism
Mm-hmm.
and I was on assignment I wasn't in Santa Monica, but I was passing through
Mm-hmm.
on my way back to the airport. And I was at this lovely hotel, Shutters on the Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a glass of rosé and I went out to the water and I was just like thinking, and an entire plot popped into my head.
Mm.
And it was the plot from my second book, which is Life and Other Near-Death Experiences, which
Okay.
I sold for like 2 pennies.
Okay.
And I knew when I sold it, I was like, this is going to work. And it did. It sold hundreds of thousands of copies, has
Wow.
been optioned for film. Like it was just a wonderful experience. And
Uh-huh.
the reason why I share that is because I wrote that book for me.
Okay.
I was just
Okay.
like, I don't know who's ever going to buy one of my books. I don't know if I'm going to have a fiction career.
Mm-hmm.
In many major religions, the concept of detachment is
Mm-hmm.
central.
Yeah.
And it's not that I would ever recommend completely letting go of your dream,
Mm-hmm.
but there's something about being okay with it not happening.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I do that, things work
Mm-hmm.
out. It's really weird.
Hmm.
So in that
Interesting.
case, I got like the equivalent of a couple magazine stories. P.S. Back in the day, we actually got paid for those. I know, crazy.
I remember.
I used to make good money as a magazine writer, and now I'm like, oh, that's
I know.
terrible.
I know.
What magazines? There are none. My career took off from there, and it was really for writing for myself, for
So you
doing
had
the
this
books that I
same
want.
agent during all this, right?
Yes. Yep. She's still my agent today.
Okay. And so she just went to other publishing houses and said, we're going to start over and see
Yeah.
who says yes. Yeah.
Yep. We were even willing to use a pen name, and Amazon was fairly new in the publishing game at that time.
Mhm.
So this is not Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing. So not the
Mhm.
self-publishing arm. They have their own houses.
Okay. Yeah.
And Lake Union is their book club fiction house.
Okay.
And we sent it to them, and I just knew the minute this editor expressed interest, and she was
Mhm.
like, I love this. I got on the phone with her. She said, what kind of career do you want? No one had ever asked me that before.
Oh, just got
And it
chills.
really
Wow.
influences my coaching. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to have someone ask you, like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to write funny, sad books with life affirming messages with some romance. And she was like, great, we can make that happen.
Oh,
And I have
I
done
love
8
that.
books with them. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
So
That is amazing.
I don't know what'll happen next, but they've been wonderful to work with.
That is so great. So talk to me about the long game of a writing career. You know, the idea that a
Yeah.
successful career includes writing many books. So you're not
Yep.
penning one book with all your hopes and dreams. You know, like this has
Yeah.
to do everything for me. So tell me a little bit about that long game perspective.
There are 2 kinds of people in the writing world. There are people who their entire lives, they just want to publish one book.
Mhm.
That's the goal. They just want to have something to hold with their name on it. That is amazing. I would never say don't. I actually believe anyone who wants to write a book should do it.
Sure.
Not
Yeah.
even for like the money, the acclaim. It changes your life. To
Mhm.
show yourself, it's like having a child or running a marathon. Like it
Yeah.
really fundamentally changes your self-concept.
Yeah.
I don't work with those people though. I really work with people who want to make it a career, and that's where the long game comes in.
Okay.
Although I'd argue even with one book, you have to take a longer perspective because
Okay.
publishing takes forever.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you write the book and then you try to get an agent, or even if you self-publishing is faster, and I like it for that.
Mhm.
But it can be like 18 months to 2 years from the time
Mhm.
you sell the book till it comes out. Not always, but often enough. So like
Okay.
it's long.
Yeah.
But with career authors, anyone who wants to write several books, make money from it,
Mhm.
make it part of their actual career and identity,
Mhm.
that's where this always blows people's brains. But like, you're not looking at any one book.
Mhm.
Any one book, amazing. We want
Mhm.
them all to do well. But
Mhm.
how you create a career is being in it for multiple books and being
Okay.
willing to create over time, grow your readership.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I really think
Um,
that's where it's at.
So I'm sure you've seen the publishing industry change so much from the start of your
Mhm.
career to now. And so I wonder, what you like about it today that's different than way back when.
I love these questions, Lynn. So
I was a
I think
journalist, I
publishing,
mean, that's how we
I
met.
know you were.
Yep.
She knows what's up. So I hear a lot of complaining about publishing today.
Okay.
And there are some disheartening statistics in terms of mid-list authors, meaning not the people at the very bottom and not the superstars, or
Mhm.
even the people making 6 figures year after year, but just kind of people who are steady and they produce regularly. They're making less than they used to.
Okay.
There is a lot behind that. I would look to Jane Friedman's newsletter if you want to really read more about why. She is, I think, the best source other than Publishers Marketplace, which sometimes is biased,
Okay.
um, on what is going on in publishing and why it looks like that.
Okay.
So lots of answers. Publishing structures are not always equal. The good news is there are a lot more places, like more
Mhm.
books than ever are being published.
Mhm.
And I think publishing is much more welcoming of diverse voices. And
Mhm.
I'm not just talking about authors of color. I'm talking about all marginalized communities. I'm talking about really heightening women's voices in a way that, we've really been kind of kept in the back for a long time. Like,
Mhm.
see also how many white male authors named Jonathan can you fit on one bookshelf? Like, it's a
Yeah.
lot. Sorry,
Right.
Jonathans, but it's the truth. Like, really. So there
Uh-huh.
is more space for everyone. people are actually reading more than ever. So this idea that reading is dead is a lie. And print books are selling too. So there was this story. I went to the Radcliffe Publishing course way back in the day in 2000, and Amazon.com was just becoming a thing. And I remember, I believe it was Jesse Kornbluth came to speak to our class about it. And people were like, oh, this is going to kill print. Well, it hasn't. Both are selling like crazy, ebooks and print. So I just love all of that. I would also say self-publishing was scorned on for a long time, and now it's just not. That stigma has dropped because self-publishing authors are making tons of money. They are creating the careers of their dreams. And I think the worst thing about publishing is gatekeepers. And I would say not just like, oh, having to get an agent, an editor, also all those people out there telling you can't do it. Like I mean, Lynn, you and I have to have this conversation. I feel like those are the people who want to narrow the playing field so there's less competition. I'm like, there's room for all of us. And self-publishing has proved that. Those books have not kept traditional from selling, quite the opposite, but they're also selling more and more. So I just think it's like a neat place to be right now.
Yeah, it's funny because, I work in marketing and I coach a lot of people in marketing. And so I do coach authors on how to market. And everyone gets so overwhelmed, like, oh, now TikTok is so big, Book Talk has grown publishing or book sales, like what, 28% or something I just read recently. And I don't know, I could be wrong with that, but I'll put it all in the show notes.
It's definitely influencing it. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I'll be honest, I don't really want to be on TikTok. Like, it's just, I don't have the time. It's not my medium. And so I always tell people, just choose your channels. And I said that for years when I was working with schools and universities on marketing. Like, you can't be everywhere. So where are your customers? With schools and universities, it's, well, where are the families? Where are the students? Like, let's go there. And same thing with books. Like I mean, social media is great. And there's definitely a lot of brand building, but I don't know if sales really come from that or if it could be from, other channels. And like, where do you want to put your energy? Because you just can't do everything.
Oh, I was just going to say, put your energy in your books, because the reality is other people will sell your books on social media in a way that you never will.
Really?
It really is more effective, whether you're talking TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. Other people talking about your book, which comes from writing a good book, will always, every time, sell more. So Colleen Hoover is this TikTok phenomenon. And she has said multiple times in multiple posts, I just love her. She's like, I'm not selling my books on TikTok. I'm here because I like it. And she said most recently that she actually sees a slight decrease when she posts to sales. And she's like, I'm only telling you that so that you don't think you need to go be on TikTok to sell your books.
Yes.
God bless you. All of my clients were like, thank you for sending this. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Because I don't want to be there either. Maybe I'll go there as a coach. I don't know. But as an author, I just want to talk about books. I don't want to sell my work. That's like, no, thank you.
I think that one of the things that's changed also in publishing, from what I hear, is that, the publishing houses just aren't doing as much marketing as they used to. So even if you go the agented route, you may still have to have a hand in marketing, right?
Yeah, I think everyone should just accept that. It's not a problem. You don't have to do all the things. Spoiler alert, newsletter. If there's one thing that you focus your time on, because that's what you own. You don't own your Instagram feed. They can take it away at any minute. And I hear all the time about people whose various social media channels get frozen or they get banned or whatever. You own your email list. And those are your people who really want to hear from you. So that's what I would do.
And
it took me way too long to figure that out.
Yes. Well, I love yours, and I will share that in the show notes so that people can sign up and follow you. But it's great. It's every week. It's succinct. It always has a great idea, and I love reading it. So, it's easy to build that following and hold on to it,
Yeah.
So as our conversation comes to a close, I wonder what advice you might offer to aspiring writers.
Oh, I have good advice. And that is, put your ear plugs or whatever in, your horse blinders on, and go for it. I just feel like there's so much chatter about how hard it is and how little money you'll make. And Lynn, you know that I'm not being whatever when I say this. I'm not the best writer. I'm a good writer. I really love to get better all the time. But I don't think that you have to be the next Shakespeare to make money and really have this career that you love. And there's too many people saying that you do, that it has to be TikTok. You have to be perfect on camera and all the things. No. Just do it and commit to getting better and better and better. And it's totally within reach.
That's awesome. Well, Camille, it is so fun to watch your success, and I'm just such a follower. I'm like, I'm going to learn from
Oh,
everything
thank
you
you.
did and hopefully like follow in your footsteps one day. So,
Oh, yeah, you're
um,
doing it.
well, thank you so much for being on the Make Meaning podcast. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you, Lynn.
Thanks for listening to the Make Meaning podcast with Lynn Golodner. You can find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. If you like what you've heard, subscribe and share this episode with the meaningful people in your world. And please leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. You can learn more at makemeaning.org or lynngolodner.com.